Yeah, welcome to the Weege Show. I'm back after a long weekend at Daytona, covering the race and then helping my boy race the Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross. I'm back, but a lot of people are not. So much activity still going on in the Sunshine State and so much around the world. In fact, I think this might be the most jam-packed calendar weekend of the year for motorcycle racing. Let me count the ways. First, we got Monster Energy Supercross in Indianapolis. And we have Kellen Brauer out there for Racer X. I'll send it to him for the Keyed show in just a moment. We've got Red Bull Day in the dirt down south at Dade City. Great event. Rode it last year. Super fun. Good luck to all the folks down there. We've got the MXGP opener taking place in South America. And then again, back in Florida, the opener for the American Flat Track Championship, which due to a rain delay, I think they're going to push Friday's race into Saturday, which also happens to be the same day that they're opening the Moto America Racing Series with the Daytona 200. That's 5 series. And don't forget the Grand National Cross Country folks are on their way up from Florida and are racing in Georgia. The General GNCC. Trivia fact, I'm the one that actually came up with the name of that race like 20 years ago when I was working for the GNCC series. The General GNCC makes six events all taking place on one weekend, and I've been involved in every one of those series in one way, shape, or form, but not this weekend. After spending all the time racing with my son last weekend, I want to go to a pre-St. Patrick's Day event that my daughter's involved in this weekend. So I'm staying home. I'm bummed to not hang out a day in the dirt or Indy or flat track or road race, all the different things that I had planned. But duty calls sometimes. And to that end, my goal today was actually to put together this motorcycle that you can win. This is the Honda CRF E2. All new subscribers to the Racer X magazine will have a shot to win this motorcycle in a sweepstakes. And I know you can handle it because this is a very beginner-friendly bike. It is electric. The battery lasts a long time. If you've got a new rider in your household, this is the perfect way to start with linear, predictable, no heat, no noise, no vibration, electric power. And I know you're better than me at putting things together. I had to put foot pegs on the bike today so we could go ride it. And I stared at the instructions and I stared at the pegs and springs and cotter pins and washers. And I stared and I tried and I couldn't get it to work and I couldn't get the springs right. 90 minutes I put in to try and put foot pegs on. YouTube videos, Google searches, people calling me and texting me, FaceTiming me, trying to inspect what I was doing wrong. I couldn't get it. I'm a lack of mechanical skills. You've heard of mechanically inclined. I'm declined. Mechanically declined. Finally, my wife, trying to help, comes over and says, so what are you even trying to do? Now, my wife is not even aware that motorcycles have foot pegs that fold and are spring-loaded to return. She didn't even know motorcycles had that feature. She has never worked on a motorcycle in any capacity ever in her entire life. And in her first shot, she put the spring in the opposite way I did, slid the pin through, and boom, foot peg mounted. It took her 3 minutes, but I could not do in 90. I don't know what it is. You motorcycle folks can see things that I've never been able to figure out my entire life, and it's so frustrating. So I got to blow off some steam here. I'm going to send it to Kellen Brauer. He'll tell you about Indy and how soft the dirt is, and then I'll give you some more news and notes when we return.
Weege Show coming to you from Lucas Oil Stadium here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Press day. Wrapping up behind me right now. Checkered flag is actually just coming out, so I timed this perfectly. Walking the track a little bit here. We talked to a couple guys here on press day, just kind of feeling it out. We know the dirt is going to be soft here inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. It always is. I mean, you can even see on the ground, it's already kind of chewed up a little bit, and this is just the tractor going over it. So I'm going to walk over here, and I actually want to show you guys on the finish line jump. There were some guys that were just straight up not jumping the finish line jump here on press day. They only did basically like this little straightaway section right here behind the whoops, and then they went down to this end over here behind the whoops as well. There's 11 whoops here this week as well. They're pretty burly. I'm standing in the middle of them, and they kind of look like rhythm jumps. But these ruts that have already been dug out by these guys on this track is absolutely insane. In fact, everyone's kind of gathered over by the finish line jump. I'm going to walk over to this corner down here at this end real quick and show off the ruts that have been established in this corner. But soft dirt, that's kind of the theme of the day today. Talked to Kenny Roxon and Jason Anderson, Adam Cianciarulo, Chase Sexton. They all said, look, we know it's going to break down. We know that there's going to be some bike changes that we're probably going to have to do. Some things that we're going to try to, I don't know, find, I guess, to be okay in the main event. I mean, look at this rut right here. Let's see. That's just from press day. That one rut right there is from press day, and it's already changing up the track quite a bit. It's definitely looking a little bit notchy, a little bit gnarly. Like, we'll come look over this berm right here. So there was a triple before the finish line jump, and you can see this is just the ruts coming out of the berm. And as we follow that rut all the way through, that's the face of this triple that these guys were seat bouncing into the finish line jump. I mean, it's a big run. Look at this. That's a pretty big run. I mean, these guys are trying to triple over this 3-5-3 single, you know, triple option. And a lot of guys just said, screw it. You know what? We're going to elect to roll and then hit this face and then jump into the finish line jump there. And then we'll roll up to the finish line jump so you guys can really see what this looks like, because, I mean, even the triple face over here on my right side, it's also all rutted out. And like I said, these guys, they weren't doing the finish line jump a couple times because they would get like their foot pegs dragging. And there was a lot of guys here for press day, but not as much as usual. And, you know, this is like maybe a couple heat races. This is what it would look like, but this is just, I mean, look at these ruts. All the way up the face, and then you're dragging peg going up the face like that. Not gonna have much fun doing that, I can tell you that much. I mean, look, there's even guys after press day over here, they're all walking around looking at the track, seeing how gnarly it is. And some of them, a couple guys here that rode press day are already walking around looking at the track. This track is just gonna be burly. I mean, that's the story of it. Storylines though, a couple things that we got for Chase Sexton, for example. This is more or less his hometown race this weekend, and he's pretty excited about it. It's about 5 to 6 hour drive from Illinois to go from here to Illinois, where he lives, I should say, not specifically Illinois. If he drove from here to Illinois, it'd be 3 hours-ish, but to his place, it's about a 5 hour drive. So it's the closest one aside from St. Louis, but we don't have St. Louis on the schedule. So kind of treating this like a home race for him. They're also doing like start practice here on some, I guess maybe new greats. I haven't really got the story behind that just yet, but so Sexton feels a little bit more comfortable in this environment. Remember, he won the Ironman National last year, so kind of, you know, an hour, west of here at Ironman Raceway in Indiana can definitely feel a little bit more like a home race like that for Chase Sexton. So we'll see how he does. Ken Roxon says he's pretty happy with his bike setting and situation at the moment. And you know, just trying to develop and get a little bit better. Adam Ciancirlo is back this week. He talked a little bit about his wrist injury that he sustained. It was not actually on press day at Dallas. He did press day at Dallas and then chose not to race. But he said that the wrist injury was actually more of a nagging injury that had just continued to persist and persist. And he decided, instead of continue to push it and make it worse, let's just sit down. Let's go back to our hyperbolic chamber, rest, and feel better, so that when we come out to the racetrack, we can feel more like we can challenge instead of getting maybe tired or a little bit, you know, more pain, I guess, later in the main event. So he said that it's feeling quite a bit better than he expected after just 2 weeks, which is why he's back. He rode press day, he looked fine. He rode a lot of press day actually. So I guess trying to test it out and make sure that it feels okay, but he looked mostly okay. So I think that that's good news there. And then talked to Jason Anderson about what's kind of the missing piece for him right now. And he says really last week at Daytona, it wasn't that, you know, he had any one thing that really went wrong. He just didn't quite gel with the track the way that he thought he would. There's specifically one half of the track that he didn't really gel with. And because of that, it just kind of cost him the opportunity to be perhaps a little bit better overall by the time that the, you know, halfway point of the main event rolled around. And he kind of got dropped by Barsha and those other guys as well. So a lot of different storylines to surmise from that. Maybe Jason does feel like he still has race winning speed and can come out here and win this week. I mean, look at these ruts, look at this. So they actually had to put that Yamaha Tough Lock right there, wherever my finger is, right there in that corner, to block those guys that go into that inside line in this turn, because they're already starting to dig it so deep down they might already be going to the base of the floor. There was some guys casing the finish line jump on press day. I mean, you know, these are the best riders in the world, and when the track is already biting them in that regard on a press day, you know this track is going to be gnarly. So I think the story that we can surmise from today, really more than anything, is expect the track to break down a lot tomorrow, and expect it to be a situation where these guys will be changing setups all day. I mean, look at this right here. This is trying to double just into this section. You can see how deep some of these ruts have already gotten right here. This is 3 foot, 5 foot, 3 foot, 5 foot, and then 2 3-foot singles. So some people might say, oh, you could triple that, but most people weren't. Most people were double, triple, single, double all the way through here. Again, tons of ruts coming off of these berms. Whew, this track is gonna definitely break down and get kind of interesting. So yeah, that's kind of the story from press day here, though. Not too much more to add behind that. And cool to see the guys out here. If you guys want to watch our press day video, we also have that up as well. Kellen Brauer on the floor here of Lucas Oil Stadium, giving you guys a synopsis of what we learned and what we found out here today on press day. And thanks again to Honda, the CRF 250R and 450R for backing us on the Weege Show. I'm going to send it back to Weege. Thanks, guys, for joining us on the Weege Show.
All right, thanks to Kellen Brauer and the Keed Show. If you're in Indy and you see Kellen, tell him happy birthday. That's his birthday right now here on Friday. Yeah, the track, that's going to be a factor. You mentioned Kellen, some of the riders you talked to. I want to mention Ken Roczen myself because I talked to him at Daytona, and he told me a shocking piece of information that they're no longer taking huge swings to get this progressive X-Star Suzuki where he wants it. He's actually in a smaller window now, and it's just small tweaks. And I don't think people expected that. After the first couple rounds where Roczen was testing at the races and making huge changes, a lot of people figured, oh no, Ken's in that death spiral, that hypnotic thing where he's just going to chase his tail and go round and around in circles. But no, it seems like he's locked himself in to a base setting in the bike. Smaller improvements now. That's a good sign if you're a Roczen fan. And also Aaron Plessinger. Let's talk about that. Plessinger has a way of usually only winning races in the state of Indiana. His first Supercross and Motocross wins took place in the state of Indiana. This will be the closest race to home for him, the Ohio native, and he's great in ruts. And you know we're going to have him. Side note, I don't know if it'll be as rutted tomorrow as it looked today. Sometimes when dirt sits in the stadium for 24 hours with the heaters on, it actually dries the dirt out quite a bit. But as of now, it looks super rutted. That's a good sign if you're an Aaron Plessinger fan. If he and Roczen can get better starts than they had in Daytona, let's see what they can do. And some other news and notes, Dylan Ferrandis out. He had that big crash at Daytona while trying to come back from the concussion earlier in the year. He's out for the weekend. Adam Cianciarulo, he's back. That's good to see. You do not want to see him miss more time with injuries, and luckily he is back. Joey Savacci has done the Rick Ware Racing team. They said they'd get him through Daytona. They did. They'll focus on World Supercross now. So no Savacci this weekend. And Justin Cooper's 450 run is over. He just wanted to race through Daytona. He's done it. But because RJ Hampshire did so well at Daytona, he will be racing this weekend. Just a couple of news and notes. Oh, also Colt Nichols out after a Daytona crash. Yeah, the injury list starting to grow. That's just a couple news and notes on the 450s. I want to focus on 250s here. Specifically, two riders who I don't think anyone had in the bingo card as podium level guys, but second and third in points behind Hunter Lawrence. You got Max Anstie on the Firepower Honda, and it is a Monster Star Yamaha, but it is not Nate Thrasher or Jordan Smith. It is Hayden Deegan third in points. And remember, the plan was for him to ride 250 Supercross Futures this year, not the 250 East region. But Deegan has been amazing with the podium now, and he's been ultra consistent. In fact, more consistent than veteran riders who were expected to be ahead of him in points. Now, I have not expounded much on my thoughts on Deegan through the years because it's just clickbait to talk Deegan, and a lot of people use either love or hate of Deegan to just get more views for their channel. And I don't want to be that guy, but now that he's established himself as a podium guy, it's time to talk Deegan. Let me tell you, this is the real deal right here, and I saw it at Loretta Lynn's when he's battling his old buddy, Dax Bennick. I believe it was in the 65 division. They were 11 years old, and they had to battle for a championship in the final moto in the mud. And their clutch and throttle control on 65s at 11 years old, and their skills in ruts and slick terrain at Loretta's in treacherous conditions blew my mind how skilled these riders were. And now further with Deegan, as he's gotten onto the big bikes, you're seeing grit and heart and determination. He's a racer's racer, and this has been backed up by what the Star folks have told me when he does practice motos with the guys at the track, the Goat Farm. And think about this. We haven't seen good starts from Deegan. He has had to make his way, grind his way to the front. And often he's doing it at the expense of veteran riders who should be able to outfox him. He's had a lot of battles with Jeremy Martin, and he's come out on top of most of those. His teammate Smith tried to break him and run him down for the podium at Daytona. Couldn't grind him down. There's stats from Supercross statman Clinton Fowler saying that Deegan has the smallest variance in these mains between his best lap and his worst lap. He hasn't actually had the super hot, sizzling lap time you'd expect from a rookie. He's just been good the whole time. He's got grit. He's got fitness. He obviously has a great bike and team and good people around him. There's some sort of formula that Brian Deegan has where any type of racing that he or his family get involved in, they do it at a very high level. Brian, from his motocross and freestyle exploits to rally cars and off-road trucks, what Haley's done as a car or truck racer, and then what Hayden has done here. There's some sort of special formula. This kid has that. He has the intangibles. And if anyone thinks that Hayden Deegan is just a media hype thing, he's got what media and hype and dollars and views can't give you. He's got heart. And also, your parents can't do that for you. They can't have you live out their dreams and give you heart. he has it. He's a racer's racer. He is dangerous. Could we be looking at a win for Hayden Deegan before the year is up? Why not? Could we be looking at title contention for Hayden Deegan? He's third in points. Why not? Look, they're not all going to be good days. I'm sure some level of rookie mistake is going to come, but everything we have seen so far shows that he is wise beyond his years as a racer, and we probably shouldn't be that surprised to see that. It's here. It's here. This kid knows what he's doing. It's really exciting for the sport, too. So you get Lawrence brothers and Deegans surrounding each other on the podium. I think the fans can get into that. Should be a fun weekend at Indy. Enjoy it, everybody. Wish I was there. I'll be back in Detroit.